Hello, I'm Christine Middleton. Thank you for joining us for yet another installment of Leadership Live, where I'll host candid discussions with industry leaders on the intersection of business and technology. Today's topic will be on smart cities with special guest Waliur Rahman, who is the Chief Information Officer and Advisory Partner at Kyndryl, with more than 28 years of experience in technology transformation focused on customer-driven results. Rahman is a seasoned IT professional with a proven track record of modernizing and securing large public IT sector organizations with many other industries. Hello, hi Walier. Thank you for joining us today. To get us started, I would love if you could tell us a little bit of your experience on the topic today.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Kristen. So I think it is a very interesting topic. I mean, if you look at what is happening in our world and where we live in, right? I think it's way overdue where the technology moved on and the services that we actually get from the city services, county services, and municipality services, and how it all intersects, right? What are the opportunities?
Right.
So I think I think it's a great topic. I think it's about time we're getting some momentum on this.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to hear more about it. So let's get into the questions. So smart technology, it has been growing steadily, but what is it that makes a city smart?
Well, I think So let's take a step back on what is smart city. What that really means is you know it is a place of advanced technology to improve people's life, right? The place
Mhm.
we live in, and I think if you look at it, one way to look at it is it's an internet of municipality of IoT things, Internet of Things for municipal services. It's an operable IoT platforms, cross-domain applications, and city services integration. So it's basically, end of the day, it has to improve our life that we live in. It has to basically environmental friendly. It has to basically adapting those new technologies and way of providing a better, solutions, better support to the citizen services, right? So that's what I think it boils down to what smart city is all about. I mean, it has many different components. It touches environment, energy, transportation, health, waste management, water management, security, and all the different aspects. So there's no clear-cut definition, but basically, end of the day, back to macro level, that's what it is.
All right, perfect. And what is the driving need for smart cities? The government priorities, the regulations involved. What technology is needed to drive improvement?
So if you look at what is really happening is rapid urbanization is happening, right, you know across the globe, and the pressure the growing population have on the systems that were built ages ago, and with one set of criteria. Now the criteria are evolving because people demands are actually changing on the system. There's infrastructure. This basic. How do we basically automate those infrastructure? How do we get the best out of those infrastructure that we actually have laid out? Mobility challenges and traffic management congestions are basically some of the major components. Climate change has a big impact on how everything. We have to think twice about what we implement, how we implement that, and what does it do for our long-term future. Air pollution, and if you look at a lot of the cities, air pollutions are, really, really bad. Some of the cities we can't even see because it's completely fogged up, right?
Right, right.
Water, sanitation, so all those, energy. There's a huge demand on energy, right? And then the traditional way of energy management, it is a lot of wastage, and it's not really as efficient as it needs to be. Maintenance, it are critical because of those infrastructure that was built ages ago are actually breaking down. How do you go maintain them? And what the technology could actually provide remote maintenance of those kind of capability. And in general, technology is changing, right? So look at what's happening to the whole AI is actually
Yeah,
in the whole landscape of how we do things and what we do, right?
right. Yeah. So are there like possible ways of implementing AI to also help in improvement of the way smart cities function? Any idea on how that might be happening?
Well, I think there are different way things we could implement
Mm.
smart city capabilities, functionalities, right?
Right.
So I think if we take a step back on the functionality, what makes a city smart exactly? If we really think about that,
Hmm.
it's at the macro level, it has to help our improve our lives, right? But
Right.
at when we really boil down to in the in use cases, you can look at it could be as simple as parking. I'm sitting in my home.
Hmm.
I know I will be going over there. And I have to look for parking in the city, right? And why can't I just reserve my parking spot right now from home and start paying for it? And I reserve it, so when I go, I don't have to drive around for 2 hours, right? So I'm
Oh,
just giving an example, but all I'm trying to point
okay.
out is, you know, these are smaller examples like this could actually have a bigger impact on
Right.
our lives, right? The time management. So think about in order to implement just that, what needs to happen? There are, sensory networks. There are those data has to be shared with some applications, right? So I
Right.
think it boils down to uh, the basic infrastructure that has to be that actually has to be capable of supporting those services. And AI will come in when you actually have the data, right?
Mm.
So so the city or county provides you utility services, waste management services, and some energy services, a bunch of other services, right? City services, citizen services. So think about all the data, but the users are the same. It's just me, Waliur Rahman. I basically get sewer services from my city. I pay my taxes to the city. I basically, get some energy services from the city. So I'm three different users on three different systems. So think about collecting my data in one different systems and have that data seamlessly available. And that's just one part of the data. But think about the other part of the data is my behaviors, right? That could actually help improve my lives. That would really go a long way. And if those data could be collected and shared and create an open platform, secure open platform that third party will come in and develop. And that's what I think, you will see how, it changes the whole landscape of, new capabilities and services of smart city.
Right. I agree. I mean, I feel like there is a lot of scope now, and with the introduction to AI and how it's so readily available, I feel like a lot of companies can definitely make use of this and expand. I think that's a possibility for sure. Um, and now to the final question. I wanted to know, like, what citizen experience improvements were you able to see, and what were the impact on, tolls, parking payments, also with electric charging stations? Were there any changes to like paper to digital transformation? So, kind of just where has it been with your experience, and what have you seen in real time? The effect of smart cities and how it has been able to help people.
So there are. I mean, I think. I mean, even at Kyndryl, we did some projects with a bunch of DMVs, and automate a lot of those, you know, DMV experience. So looking at from end user experience, from the time they walk in, trying to renew their license or registration or whatever that function might be, how do we basically make it more self-service capable, right? How do we
Right.
basically make it much more, enabled? So we implemented some of the solutions already out there. There are, if you look at in some cities, they have, the traffic pole, the traffic lights not only gives you traffic management, but
Mhm.
it could actually measure the air quality around it. It could actually provide, a hotspot capability right there. It could actually provide, not exactly at the traffic lights, but I think the surrounding the street lights, it could provide smart, charging capability. So
Mm.
I think all of those components are doable and possible. And but one thing needs to happen is, and the toll payment, we already know that, like, you drive through, it already automatically gets paid.
Right.
But that still has, but it's limited to that function, right?
Mm.
That data is not really shared with anyone else. nobody else can actually take advantage of the data and do provide a better, not another services better, right? So I think at the fundamental level, what really needs to happen is that's where I think the government comes into play, right? How do you put those, you know, platform in place, meaning some regulatory component or some policies. You know, I think NIST is trying to basically create a framework, and I think that's a good framework. I looked at it, and so the government role, I think, it's basically what they really should be doing is providing that framework, allowing, you know, the data to be shared, creating a data platform, and building that foundation that where any third party could come in actually develop those applications, right? And it could go. I mean, you know, because you know, even if we target, you know, the some smaller components that okay, let's only look at the citizen services like waste management, education. Let's look at the energy. Let's look at those components, and then share that data, and then it's interoperable data with various different systems, and provide that information to others. So then I think there's going to be newer way of improving that functionality. You know, if you look at our energy, if you look at how the energy is distributed today, there's a major loss in the energy distribution, right?
Okay.
If you look at how we actually heat our home and cool our home, it's the same traditional way been going on for the last 50 years. There's so much wastage, right? So all I'm trying to point out is there are some examples that actually I can provide out some. I think in Australia, I forget the name of the university. I think there was a classroom management in education when the rooms or the area of the building automatically heats up or cools down or lights up based on the class schedules, based on the people, how many people attend, and all the different components. So that has a huge impact on the overall energy consumption. So I'm just giving this example. Those just what's happening today, but the possibilities are limited when you actually create that platform, right? Create a platform, where data could be interoperable, right? Securely, then AI, people could come in and develop applications on top of that platform that you actually built.
I agree. I feel like there are a lot of ways that it can be optimized, as you said, ways that we can kind of pave the way and move forward in the way that smart cities can operate. So,
Yeah, and on top of that, there is so much funding is available from the federal
right.
government.
Okay.
The federal government has, I think it was almost $18 billion fundings to support this type of initiative. The pools available from different sources, right? That you can actually apply. The cities and municipalities can apply to actually improve their infrastructure, but they have to plan for those components.
Yeah.
And I think, I think that's only the beginning. This is from the government. When you build the framework, then the private sector will come in and build those applications. And I think, if it saves me 2 hours rather than driving around for parking, and I pay $2 more for the parking, I would take it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I feel like with the right amount of funding and the allocation and just being able to work on these frameworks, as you said, like we can definitely optimize the usage of energy and how that's being spread throughout. A very interesting topic indeed. So thank you so much for joining us today to tell us on your experiences with smart cities and how we can progress moving forward. Before we end the live stream, let's see if we have any questions. We do have this one comment and question from Annika, who says, really interesting topic. And her question is, are there cities that you view as good case studies that are climate conscious using the smart city tech wisely?
Well, I think a lot of the cities are actually progressing towards that direction, especially in the U.S. and I think in Europe, I think I forgot the name of the city in Sweden. There's a city. I think they actually implemented a lot of those smart functionalities, capabilities, which is more IoT driven, applications. It is. I can get back to you with the exact name of that city, what that city was. I think it's kind of escaped from my mind. But they have the smart parking capabilities. They have the car sharing services. They have the e-charging hotspot. They have they invested in the infrastructure to build hotspots everywhere. Then their urban planning was actually take into consideration of of that smart city objective. And before they actually plan, the buildings they have codes in place for smart building capabilities, meaning energy saving, automation, those kind of components. I can definitely get back to you on that. Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So Chinmaya has mentioned that Bangalore has good smart city technology. So I guess it's coming on the up and up in India as well.
Yeah.
Jess also commented that Peachtree is one of the more progressive cities in the USA. So it's very interesting to see how different states and different countries are implementing smart cities and working towards conserving more energy, given that this is a very hot topic at the moment, what with global warming. So we have another question from Alexander, who says, is there a use case for using smart city practices to enhance smaller towns?
Of course. I mean, it's as long as there's a municipality of services, right? It could be as simple as digitization of their paper platforms, right? It could be as simple as that. It could be as simple as self-service capability, right? It could be as simple as, okay, the township provide this type of capability. Let me actually build that. How do I collect the user data and have that data shared, have that data available, for somebody to come in and develop. So I think, of course, I think it has to start from smaller footprint. It makes sense. And I think the bigger cities, I think if they can actually lay out the foundations, and that I think, will trigger the project, the growth of the smart city, smart city services.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll leave it open for any other questions, but in the meantime, I would like to thank you again, Waliur, for taking your time to join us today for our installment of Leadership Live from Zoho for Enterprise. And it was definitely a very interesting topic given the current climate and the situation of how things are economically as well. So if that is all for now, I would like to wind up the session and thank you once again. And do join us for next month's installment of Leadership Live from Zoho for Enterprise. Thank you. Oh, we have another question. I'm sorry. While data collection here, this is from Lynn. While data collection is essential to launch a smart city, do you think the concerns over citizen privacy to become a roadblocker at some point in the future?
So that is actually a hot topic. Privacy is a very big concern for a lot of people. But I think, so if you think about what is privacy, is do I want to, if the data is shared in such a way that it doesn't identify me as, as exactly as me, but still can provide the services I'm looking for, that kind of answers some of the privacy questions. But also, if you think about, some users are actually evolving. Meaning, when I say evolving, meaning I know there's a younger generation. I think they're looking for, okay, I don't mind sharing my data as long as you provide me with available information. So there's always a check and balance. I think it's always a check and balance, and privacy is always a hard topic. And so that's why I think the government, involvement is crucial. Defining those regulatory boundary, defining those boundary of what data collected, how it's collected, and how it's shared, and then what could that could really do. So I think privacy is an issue, but it's a concern. But I think that's where the framework needs to be built out by the government, and I think it's now once it does, I think look at Google. Right? Everyone signs off, yes, but those kind of companies actually has a lot more data about you than that we think they do. They have so, but that data is getting used in such a way, that for improving services. So I think there are some regulatory components needed, in basically protecting those rights. I agree, but I don't think it's going to stop, the growth of smart city.
Super. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for your questions as well. We always enjoy interacting with you. With that being said, this is Christine signing off, and we'll see you in the next one.